Welcome into the best in true crime talk radio. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm Tim Dennis. Got a good show for you today. Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals coming up in the second segment with Beer City Bruiser. We'll go over all the dumb crimes and stupid criminals you could ever possibly want in the second segment of this show. We've got a good show for you today, folks, in that we've got an unusual case we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about a book called The Colony, Faith and Blood in a Promised Land. Our author that we'll talk to today is Sally Denton. It's an investigation into the 2019 killings of 9 Mormons in northern Mexico, which drew international attention. The Colony offers a glimpse into a strange, little understood world of fundamentalist Mormon outposts there in Mexico. And there's lots of twists and turns, folks. And I'll tell you, first of all, we're going to keep a little bit of an open mind today because there's Mexican drug cartels in here. There's a polygamous Mormon sect, not just one, but I believe 2 here that we'll talk about. And we're going to talk with Sally a little bit about how things intersect in this little Mexican area of Mexico, and just how politics plays into this. And it does play into it. There is politics involved here that we'll talk about and see exactly how everything washes out here. And again, this was just in 2019, so it's not, it's recent history. Sally Denton is a best-selling investigative reporter and historian. She's the author of 9 books, including the true crime classic, The Bluegrass Conspiracy. She divides her time between Nevada and New Mexico. Let's welcome her into True Crime Tuesday. Here's Sally Denton. Hi, Sally.
Hi, thanks for having me. Looking forward to this one.
I am too. You know, I got a chance to breeze through the book. I didn't get as much time as I would have liked to have really sat down and examined the book, but I'm familiar with the case. I remember President Trump getting a little bit involved with this one, and it was kind of odd because I thought, you know, to get involved, especially with, and I'll just preface this with saying, and I know sometimes our listeners get a little touchy when it comes to politics, but again, we're taking off the kid gloves today. Especially with the issues near the U.S.-Mexican border. To me, I thought, well, this was kind of weird that he was offering at one time to kind of get involved with this case, because to me, it seemed like this was certainly a case that involved, and we'll talk about the case here with you in a second, that involved what we could, I guess, describe as Mexican-American nationalists, right? Dual citizens?
Right, dual citizens. Okay. Donald Trump the former president did get involved when it happened, but he was kind of indicating or suggesting that they were, you know, American tourists traveling through Mexico. And he wanted to designate the cartels as terrorists, and which would, you know, set a precedent or a pretext for American intervention in Mexico. And that didn't go over well either with the president of Mexico or the Mexican people, and it was disingenuous because the victims here were not American citizens traveling through Mexico. They lived down there and had lived down there. Their families have been down there since the 1800s, so 1890s. So it was kind of a false narrative that he promoted. But that, you know, I can talk more about once we talk about the case itself and what might have led him to that.
Yep. And we'll jump into it here in a second. It's a curious case. And again, we'll have a link in the description of the show so that everyone can by all means pick up this book and check it out. The Colony, Faith and Blood in the Promised Land is the name of the book. It's really a deep dive investigation into this case, so much so that it goes back into time to explain exactly how this split happened. Because as far as here in America, we're familiar with the Jesus Christ Church of Latter-day Saints. You may only be familiar with it from TV programming or even commercials, or maybe you've had someone knock on your door, or to that extent, or maybe you drive past a church that's JCLDS.
Well, it is the fastest growing and richest church in the world. So chances are most people have had some contact with members.
Correct.
At some point along the way.
Correct. A lot of people, though, keep it at an arm's length. And I think it's mainly because, and Sally, correct me if I'm wrong here, I think it's mainly because in our country, we stick to our faith, and it's not a matter of, I want to put this delicately, but I'll just go ahead and say it. It's not a matter of intolerance or religious intolerance. It's just a matter of, you know what? I've got what I believe. No thanks. I don't need something else in my life to muddy the water. I don't need to get into, one thing or another. But as I go, and I have natural curiosities and natural tendencies to want to learn about other things. If somebody says to me, hey, have you heard about this, or you heard about that? Or I want to learn about other cultures, other religions, the way other people operate. Because to me, it's psychology interests me greatly. Okay. Psychology, cultures, theologies. And I like to know how people tick, how they operate, and how they get to a certain way in their life, how they decided that this was the way that life was going to direct them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you grew up in the West, as I did, the Mormon Church is very much a part of Western culture, pioneer culture. And so it's not a matter of intolerance. I think it's more a matter of curiosity and lack of understanding that I see sometimes in, friends of mine from the East or different parts of the world. But it's very much embedded and has been embedded in the rural American West for many, many, many years, decades, century. I mean, back to when Brigham Young settled Salt Lake City in 1849. So, but there needs to be a distinction drawn here between the mainstream Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and the fundamentalist colony that I write about in Mexico, which is a small, we're talking 3,000 to 5,000 population community in Chihuahua, Mexico, which is a breakaway group of fundamentalist polygamists. These were one-time mainstream Mormon church members, pioneer church members dating back to the 1800s. So, and all of this comes back to in the 1880s and 1890s when the United States government was really cracking down on Utah territory for its practice of polygamy. And Utah really wanted to become a state at that time. And the U.S. government basically dictated that there would be no statehood as long as the church promoted and condoned the practice of polygamy. So there was a manifesto within the church that made the practice of polygamy no longer tenable and no longer, it became, as soon as they did become a state, then polygamy became illegal. And there were U.S. marshals and state officials who started seeking out the polygamists. So that was the impulse for the polygamists who saw themselves as the true believers, because polygamy was integral in the early, the pioneering church days. So they went to Mexico with the church's blessing to continue practicing polygamy outside the reach of U.S. law enforcement. And so that's how this colony began, or these colonies began. There were several at the time. But then most of the Mormon fundamentalists who fled to Mexico from the United States ultimately, and many of them into colonies in Chihuahua, most of them, if not all of them, abandoned the practice of polygamy and joined the mainstream church. It's this one colony, Colonia LeBaron, that's a little bit south of the other Mormon colonies, that was founded by a polygamist named Almader LeBaron, and in 1944, and started a colony where his sons then grew up to inherit the mantle of the polygamous patriarchy. And that's really the colony that I focus on, because Well, the book starts with the murder of 3 young mothers and 6 of their children, and the wounding of several others in a remote place in Mexico, and it was one of the most brutal crimes. And in fact, I'm sure the majority of your audience will remember it from CNN. It was on all of the mainstream media in the United States for its brutality and for the fact that the victims had dual American Mexican citizenship, and it was over the top violent. I mean, not that everything in with the Mexican cartels these days hasn't been over the top with beheadings and burnings and stuff, but these were innocent women and children, babies. And they were attacked in a volley of gunfire, over 321 shots to one car alone, and then one of the women and 4 of her children were burned alive. So it was, and there were at least 100 shooters on the scene. So this was something that was so over the top and so clearly not your random event. And so I also, as the book details, I come from a long line of Mormon fundamentalist polygamist pioneers from the 1800s, polygamous women and men. So it really attracted my attention at that point. For that reason, on top of everything else, as you pointed out, this is my 9th book, and all of my books are about organized crime and drug trafficking and gun trafficking, and I've written 3 books on Mormonism and others on American Western history. So immediately, I was moved emotionally by the tragedy and thought it was important to remember the real victims in the story and the violent and grisly way they died. And I just felt like if I dug into it, that I could put it in context and figure out what happened down there. They were clearly targeted. It was not a case of mistaken identity. And as initially when it happened, the media portrayed it as, they got caught in the crossfire. That became clear very early on that was not what happened, that there were too many shooters. It was broad daylight. It was 10:30, 11 in the morning. And the killers knew exactly who these women and children were. They even videotaped one of the assaults. And so my question at the beginning was, why were these women and children alone on this really dangerous road, one of the most dangerous roads in the world, and apparently had been warned that there was even more violence than usual on that road during that day, and they traveled anyway. My first question when I began the research, and ultimately my last question at the end, is where were the husbands? Where were these men who are the patriarchal leaders of these 2 communities?
Yeah.
And why did they allow their women and children to travel alone? Most of these patriarchal leaders are known for traveling with their own group of bodyguards because they have been living here and in the midst of the cartels. They predated the drug cartels, as I've mentioned, but they've been living among them for generations, for decades, for generations, and have always had high security around them. So why that day, all 3 of the husbands were in the United States, and yet these women and children were traveling, a 6-hour, 7-hour journey by themselves.
Now, Sally, there's something unusual too about uneasy truces with these drug cartels. Explain to our audience, if you would. Now, you would think that, with the clear and present danger that's out there, you would think, well, these ladies would know not to get in these vehicles with children and go on this very, very dangerous road across this territory. But there were some, we'll put them tenuous truces between their villages, the LDS villages, and the drug cartels that were out there. One of the drug cartels, by the way, was one of El Chapo's cartels, right?
Right. Well, this is tenuous truces. These people have lived next to each other, as I said, for decades, and the colonies predated the cartels. So, I mean, they were used to seeing them at checkpoints, at Sicario checkpoints, where different cartel guards and hitmen were protecting their turfs, and they had a relationship that seemed to work pretty effectively over several decades, and they weren't bothered. There was kind of one of the family members described it as a gentleman's agreement. I mean, there has to be some kind of accommodation if you are living, your entire community is living in the midst and surrounded by the Sinaloa cartel, El Chapo's cartel, which was, the most powerful and richest drug cartel, narcotics trafficking organization in the world. So just to live on a daily basis would require some accommodation. Now, this incident happens on November 4th, 2019, and it was just a couple of months earlier, the previous summer, that El Chapo was finally, this is Joaquin Guzman, El Chapo, who dominated the narcotics trafficking out of Mexico for decades and was the leader of the Sinaloa cartel. He had just been incarcerated in the United States. He had been arrested several times. Everybody remembers, Chapo's history. He'd been arrested and escaped from prison twice, I believe. Mm-hmm. But this was his territory, and this is really the heart of what's called the Golden Triangle down there between the states of Durango, Sinaloa, and Chihuahua. So this is a Golden Triangle of drug trafficking, and I think that. The region, and I don't think, the evidence is that the region was thrown into widespread chaos at the time of Chapo's incarceration at the Supermax prison, his incarceration for life in solitary confinement in Pueblo, Colorado at the Supermax prison. That really set off a large scale and widespread vying for power and control of that Sinaloa organization. And these colonies were in the midst of that territory dispute. And that road that they were traveling is one of the key narcotics trafficking routes from Mexico to the United States historically and contemporarily. And so this is obviously something had changed. They were used to, these women and children and their husbands were used to going back and forth across the border on a regular basis. Many of them lived in North Dakota and in Arizona, and they took their children back and forth. So something had changed, and the colonies didn't get the message. Either they didn't get the message before, and somebody sent a second message that this is not their territory to be traveling anymore.
Now, the colony in itself had different agricultural businesses. There were nut trees there, I believe. There were some other agricultural pursuits that they had there in order to obviously stay alive and have some sort of funds coming in as well. What were the businesses that they were running out of North Dakota and Arizona? Or was that just ancestral homes that they went back to visit?
They were not ancestral homes. It was kind of a longstanding tradition for the men in the colonies in Mexico to earn a living in the United States in construction and drywall, and working in the oil fields, and then coming back to Mexico. And what happened frequently is that the women and children were basically in Mexico holding the fort down, and then during the recent decades, as they transitioned into agriculture and the production, the massive pecan and walnut farms that take up not only a lot of land, but an extraordinary amount of water, at a moment when that water is dwindling from climate change, and this region in the Sierra Madre has really kind of become ground zero for diminished water supplies that we're going to see here in the Southwest. We're already seeing in the Southwest, but there's a lot of competing interests. There's not just the LeBarons and their nut farms. There are the cartels that need it for growing, for the manufacture of fentanyl and methamphetamines. The avocado growers need the water. The agave growers for the tequila. There's a lot of people vying for a very finite and dwindling source of resources. And the LeBarons are seen in that region as not usurpers, but overusers of the resources when they're surrounded by extreme poverty. And they're in sharp contrast to their palatial estates in the colony, are in sharp contrast to the utter poverty in the region around them.
So it's the perception of have and have-nots, and of course they're the receptors of the ire of the community, essentially. Right. Yeah, I get it. So there's that dispute that's boiling as far as water rights go, and the community believes that they're taking too much when really they may not at all.
Well, they've been accused of digging illegal wells. There have been clashes between their neighbors and an organization of activists down there called the Barzanistas. This is an ongoing battle between Colonia LeBaron and their neighbors. And this goes back. They also had colonies on the western Mexico that have also in Baja California around a community called San Quintin that they developed in the 70s, and kind of the same issue going on there. They're not pecan trees, but they're one of the major suppliers of tomatoes and other agricultural enterprises. That the same allegations against the LeBaron community and uprisings are happening there.
So our audience may be asking at this point, Sally, why stay? If the cartels are an issue, if the neighbors are an issue, what was it that brought the LDS to this area? What brought them to these colonies to this area, and what makes them stay?
Well, as I said, they predated the cartels, and so they've got a lot at stake with these massive farms that they own. And they went there to escape law enforcement in the United States, and they were welcomed by Porfirio Diaz, who was the president of Mexico at the time. But polygamy is illegal in the United States and in Mexico. But Mexico kind of turned a blind eye. In fact, America seems to turn a blind eye as well. But these colonies down there they are Mexican born and bred at this point, and the leaders, the patriarchal men in their fundamentalist religion, only worthy men are allowed to have the power, and which is why the women are subservient to them, because that is their ticket to heaven and the hereafter. So why they decide to, a lot of them, there are two communities here, La Mora, which is in the state of Sonora, and Colonia LeBaron in the state of Chihuahua. And I focus on Chihuahua, but a lot of, and the colony in La Mora is much smaller. It's only 250 to 350 to 500 people, depending on the population swells with visitors from family members living in the United States, but many of the residents of La Mora did flee after this, and went back to the United States. But the residents of Colonia LeBaron and the leadership there, they dug in even harder and are challenging challenging the cartel and the cartels and challenging their neighbors.
Well, Sally, we're going to take a short break here. When we come back, let's talk a little bit now about the incident that happens at the beginning of the book. Let's dig deeper into that and figure out why exactly those ladies took the children, took this path that they took along this road that was so filled with danger, why they went without the patriarchal help that they so desperately could have needed to get across, and what exactly was the cartel's motive for wanting to take down seemingly a group of women and children that meant no harm. There was no reason for them to take them down. We'll do that when we come back. Again, the name of the book is The Colony, Faith and Blood in a Promised Land. Sally Denton is our guest. We'll get to that when we come back. But first, we all have those times in life where we feel like we need somebody to talk to, and maybe there's nobody around that you can talk to. Maybe you don't have somebody in your life you can talk to, or maybe the people in your life just aren't the people you should be talking to in those important times you need to talk. Did I just tell you a riddle? It feels like I did. I'll give you an example. You have a time where maybe there's something deeply personal, like loss of a child. I told you just a couple of days ago that I had the loss of a child, and I didn't have very many people I felt like I could talk to. Well, what did I do? Well, I ended up going to therapy because it's the only place I felt like I could sit down and talk. I had to talk to a professional, somebody that I could get it all out to, but somebody who would actually give me an informed opinion, somebody who could actually listen. And that's kind of what I had to do. I had to sit down with somebody who could actually help me through that grief. I have to do. And I've managed to do that over the years. And one of the places I found that could help me with that, and could help me with that in the privacy of my own home, was BetterHelp. It's great because it's right there. It's right in the privacy of your home, and you could do it in a lot of different ways. You could do it either over your PC or your tablet, your laptop, your phone. It's one of those things where I don't have to get up, go to an office, be seen by people. I can bring it right to my home, and I could talk to that therapist right there. You can log into your account at any time and send a message to your therapist. If you're just sometimes in the middle of the night, you have those thoughts, or it's those feelings welling up, and you need to get it out. You need to talk to somebody. You do need to talk to somebody, and that's how you get a hold of somebody. It isn't a crisis line. Don't get me wrong. It's not self-help. It is professional therapy, and it's done securely online. It's available to people worldwide. That's a great thing about BetterHelp. You can log into your account at any time, send a message to your therapist, get a hold of them, and tell them that, hey, you know what? I'm not doing very well, but I need to talk to you. And it's important because we're in a world where, physical fitness is stressed, but we don't stress mental fitness enough. That's something we really need to do. And I know you may be saying to yourself, well, can I really trust the people that I get from BetterHelp? Maybe it's not the right person for me. Well, the great thing about BetterHelp is that it may take a few tries to find the right fit for you, but BetterHelp will make it easy for you. And it's free to change therapists if needed. So you can get the right therapist for you. And that's what's so great about BetterHelp. Also, what's great, it's more affordable than traditional offline therapy, and financial aid is available. So they work with you to get the help that you need. What's even better is they have a special offer right now for our listeners. If you go to the website right now, you can get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/darknessradio. One more time, that's 10% off your first month of online therapy at betterhelp.com/darknessradio. Folks, I can't pretend to have all the answers, and our friends don't have all the answers. Our family doesn't have all the answers. We can lean on each other. We can support each other. We can be there for each other. But when it comes down to it, when you really want to be, when you need to get down to the root of a problem, when you want to be mentally fit, or maybe you just Every once in a while, you need to clear out the cobwebs. You need to get yourself straight. And you need to just do that couch time, as my old professor used to say, and put things in line. BetterHelp is the solution to do it. And we've got the solution right here. And you can save some money while doing it. One more time, that special offer is 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/darknessradio. That's 10% off your first month of online therapy at betterhelp.com/darknessradio. Do it today. Again, folks, when we come back, we'll dig into why these women and children were slaughtered on this road. That really, we got the message that it was no longer safe passage. But we'll find out why they took this road, what they were trying to get to, and why it was so important for them to go without protection. We'll do that when we come back. You're listening to True Crime Tuesday. Welcome back to the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm Tim Dennis. The book is The Colony, Faith and Blood in a Promised Land. Our guest is Sally Denton. And when we left you, we were talking about how we're going to get into now the actual situation of what happened with those three women. And I believe you said 6 children, right, Sally, that were with them that day?
There were 14 children.
14 children that were with them that
6
day.
were killed. There were 14. There were 17 people total, 3 women and 14 children.
Wow.
In 3 SUVs. And they struck out. It was a family outing. One of the first woman, Ronita, with her 4 children, they all struck out from this community in La Mora in Sonora, Mexico. Mm-hmm. And they were heading out on a road. She was heading to Phoenix to meet her husband, who was flying in to meet her there for a rendezvous in Phoenix. He was flying in from North Dakota, where they had been living for several years. And she was taking 4 of her children up there to meet him, including 2 7-month-old twins, twin infants. And then the next car was a woman named Christina, and she was taking her baby Faith, who was an 8-month-old infant, and then the third woman in her vehicle, Donna, had 9 children with her, and then, basically Donna and Christina were going over the Sierra Madre. You come out of La Mora and you go north on this road up toward the border with between Chihuahua and Sonora. And Ronita was breaking off then to head west toward Phoenix with her children. And the other 2 were going over the mountain and then down through Chihuahua to Colonia LeBaron. And they were all going to a family wedding. So they were out there because it was a beautiful fall morning, and they were going to a wedding, and Ronita was going to see her husband. So they get out part way. After just a few miles, Ronita's car ball bearing breaks down, and she has to call for she can't go any further. So they load up her children into the other vehicles and go back to La Mora, and she gets a replacement vehicle, a Chevy Tahoe. And then they strike out again. And when she stops at her Suburban to transfer their broken down Suburban 5 miles from the community of La Mora, and transfers everything into the new Chevy Tahoe, then the other women continue on. So she's there alone, and she is the first one that is attacked. And that's the one that is attacked with, all kinds of automatic weapons and numerous hitmen and then set on fire. And then the other 2 are attacked within 15, 20 minutes further up the road. But so that's the reason they were on the road. And they were, as I said, they traveled back and forth between these are sister communities. There are a lot of interrelated family members. And so they regularly traveled between these 2 colonies, and always did so with safe passage. All of them indicated a fear the night before, and and premonitions. They told their other family members that they felt reluctant to go. And one of the women even said, "This is crazy. Why are we women and children traveling this without our husbands in this dangerous time?" So they had a sixth sense about, this was not going to end up well. And they still forged ahead as if, they felt invulnerable.
Wow. Was there a relation between the three women that took this trip? Was there, even a loose relation between the three?
Oh, no, they were all blood related. Okay. They were cousins, and I delve into a lot of the genealogy of these families, but yeah, they're second cousins and relatives. It was a very close-knit group of interrelated family members.
Now, if I remember right, and I don't say this for titillation or anything like that, but one of the wives that was killed, was it the first wife or the first lady who was attacked? Wasn't her husband like her second cousin or something to that effect?
Yeah, he was her second cousin, and so her mother-in-law was her cousin, her father, and her husband's mother were cousins. But that's not unusual. It was kind of a scanty gene pool down there at, when they first got down there and were intermarrying. And that's not unusual in pioneer Mormon history either. Okay. So, and in fact, on some level, at some times, and with some practitioners of polygamy, there was actually, the marriage of first cousins was seen as beneficial to get the purest bloodline. In fact, all of these are, these descendants of the LeBaron prophets and patriarchs are all descendants of the marriage of Almaderer and Maud LeBaron, who were first cousins. So that's hardly unusual down there.
Okay. Was it believed? And I'm just asking the question out of sheer, out of my own sheer interest. You had mentioned that it was believed that, I'm paraphrasing here, that it was the purer the bloodline, the closer to God. Is that safe to say?
Yes, I think so. Okay. I think that was that's the reasoning of it. And, the other thing to remember here, and this is way, too much material to get into in 45 minutes, sure. I really, delve into this bloodline of the LeBaron family. And they see themselves as direct descendants of first Joseph Smith, the founder of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and of Jesus and Mary Magdalene, Jesus and Mary and Joseph and John the Baptist. So this is this is heady stuff for, they have a sense of superiority and supremacy that is an overlay throughout all of this.
And just briefly, I know you said through 45 minutes, it's hard to get a grasp, but for our listeners, Joseph Smith believes he's contacted by, I believe it was an angel, correct? Who gave him the information necessary to put all this together. Is there someone now in 2022 in that LeBaron colony that is essentially, as we have been pointing out, throughout the bloodline, who is that descendant? Because they do essentially hand down from generation to generation, say you are the one, the next one in line to be able to.
The one mighty and strong.
Yes.
I think that there is some My understanding is that there's conflict about that there are many people who believe that the one mighty and strong, as the one who carries the mantle from Joseph Smith is called. There are some that believe that person is not alive and walking on earth right now. And there are others who believe that they are that one. So there's conflict. There's plenty of conflict within the colony itself.
Interesting.
As when I started delving into this and looking at motives, and like you said, who would want to kill these people, it became very clear to me very early on, whoever did was sending a message. And so what was the message and who was the message to? The message was not to the women and children, but I posit that the message is either to one of their husbands or family members, or and as far as motives, the deeper I got into it, it was, as I told my editor at one point, this was like being, murder on the Orient Express. I mean, there were any number of possible motives and any number of possible suspects. So I lay them all out for the reader. Well, it's a fascinating and it's all set against the backdrop of the long and controversial history of polygamy, but with a contemporary story shining a spotlight on the violence just beneath the southern border.
Right. And, as you pointed out, LDS is just an offshoot. It's just a step to the left of Christianity. I mean, it's not even really a step to the left. It's just a cousin, really. But
I'm not a Mormon scholar, and I know that that's greatly debated among scholars today, whether or not they're mainstream Christian. But they certainly, this group certainly is not a part of that.
But and point taken and point received. But and this is going to sound as crazy can sound right now, Sally. Even though these are drug dealers, drug smugglers, and criminals of the highest regard, they still are deep in their faith. Does that sound as weird as it can sound? You can find somebody who's MS-13. You can find someone who's, Sinaloa cartel. You can find somebody who's in the deepest cartel in Mexico who has done some of the worst atrocities that have ever happened in the history of humanity. But tatted on their arm or their chest is something dedicated to Jesus Christ.
Or in the cartels, the patron saint, of Malverde or whoever that is. I said at the start that I didn't find any indication that they were targeted because of their faith. But in the same breath, I can say that the cartel leaders are very much, and cartel workers, you can't separate, the people that work in the field, they go back generations. These are pretty passionate, believing Catholics.
Yes.
And, not least of all of the, problems that they have, that the colony has with its neighbors is marrying the young Mexican women.
Yes. Yep.
As plural wives.
Yep.
And the conflict between the Catholicism and Mormonism, as I'm sure, worthy of a whole other book.
Yep. And it's just a matter of, I don't like them because, and that's all it takes for a cartel member to go off and kill somebody. I don't like them because, and it can be as simple as that. So the interesting part, and this gets even more interesting. I shouldn't say interesting because this is tragic. This is all very tragic. But as the first slaughter, let's call it what it is, happens, this first woman is killed. Her children are killed. There's an instance of children getting away, surviving this, and then. But one of the cartel members, doesn't one of the cartel members tell the kids to get out of the truck and run?
Yeah, well, this is in Donna's vehicle, the third vehicle to be hit, and there were several children in there. 2 of her children were killed, and 7 7 got away, and they told the story that the cartel hitmen came down to the car to make sure that that Donna was murdered, and which is another indicator that they knew who they were killing, and then told the kids, and they were surprised that there were so many children in the vehicle. So they told the children to run, to go home, and they tried, but they were several miles away, and many of them had been wounded. So many of the children hid out, and one of the sons went on his own, and that's how the colony found out what had happened. It took the Mexican government, I think, 30 hours to get to the scene of the scenes of these crimes. But one of the sons left and walked all the way back to La Mora and told them what had happened. So it was family members back in La Mora who put together a posse and went and found the burned out vehicle and the murdered women and children. But it was there was clear that there was a conflict. My sources indicated that some of the cartel hitmen that came out that day were told they were going to do something different than, and they didn't know that it was going to be an ambush of innocent women and children, or unarmed women and children, and that there was great conflict throughout the night then with different sicarios fighting with each other after this happened. So it was obviously, not just a heinous situation, but apparently a botched situation as well with, what they weren't expecting. They weren't expecting all the children to be there.
Well, even among thieves, there's honor. I mean, you don't
Right.
you don't slaughter innocent women and children. So for them, I suppose when you're hired for a hit, you're expecting there to be someone, at least a male there that you're fighting, or a male there that you're taking out, someone that's worthy of a target.
Right. And the one that, as I mentioned, the first vehicle that was immolated, and one of the hitmen videotaped it. And it was clear, even after they knew there were children, it was just women and children, they gave the order to set it on fire. So there's no way in the world that these were, this was an accident. And you're right. They, it seemed to me, since there was such a unleashing of fire on that first vehicle, it's possible that the other two vehicles were collateral, that the target was really the first one, the car that was heading to Phoenix, not the two that were going to the wedding.
Huh. So,
but that's still all, the case has not been solved. I didn't solve it. In fact, I never really expected to. The Mexican government hasn't solved it, despite having arrested more than 50 suspects. And I don't have the armies of investigators and subpoena power that they have. So yeah. I didn't set out to solve the case as much as to find out, what was going on, why they were there in the first place, and then what happened. And as far as they've arrested a lot of people, but as I said, nobody's been tried and convicted. And they recently arrested Rafael Caro Quintero just over the weekend, and who was a cartel leader there decades ago, but very familiar with the colonies. And he was the most wanted drug trafficker, the man responsible for killing DEA agent Kiki Camarena with the highest bounty, I think a $20 million bounty on his head. And he was arrested over this past weekend in Mexico, in that region.
Very interesting indeed. Sally, I have to ask you this. You said it took 30 hours for the government to respond to what obviously was a huge ambush in this area, which, word spreads fast. It has to spread fast in that area.
Right. They claim that they couldn't get gasoline. There was a lot of conjecture and conversation during, as soon as the massacre happened, and this all went out on WhatsApp and, through the jungle drums, but it was clear that there were a lot of rumors, a lot of conspiracy theories, and among them was that they were targeted because they had purchased gas from the wrong cartel and gasoline from the wrong cartel, and it was clear that gasoline was a major issue at the moment down there, as well as far as needing it for running their pumps and traveling, the trucks, transportation, and everything. It's a big deal. And the Mexican government claimed they couldn't get to the massacre site because they couldn't get gasoline. So, it was 30 hours before finally the family members went to the scene and collected the bodies and buried them themselves.
So they didn't even turn the bodies back over to the colony?
No, they took them. The family members took the bodies back to the colony themselves before the police ever got there.
Wow!
Just to keep them from being, attacked by predators.
Yeah, I find it ironic that the police have to go through the cartels to get gasoline. I know. To me, that's the ultimate irony.
That kind of says it all, huh?
It does say it all as to who exactly runs the country. Very interesting indeed, Sally, the story. And again, we're just scratching the surface as to what's going on with the story. There's 375 pages filled with things on this case. And again, I don't want to ruin the ending as far as what's going on with this case. But there's cartels involved. There's colonies of LDS. And there's even a tip of the hat to NXIVM, which, again, we've covered NXIVM on this show. Can we give our listeners a little taste as to why NXIVM is brought into this case?
Yeah, well, that was, a curveball for me when I'm deep into the research, a year or more into it. Keith Raniere, if you've done, the NXIVM story on your show, Keith Raniere spent a lot of time at Colonia LeBaron and encouraged them to go head to head with the cartels, which some say resulted in the uptick in violence. But he also recruited young girls from Colonia LeBaron to go to Albany to the headquarters and of his sex cult. And 11 went ostensibly as nannies and then came back. So there was, that's just one of many threads. Raniere spent years down there and was filming Mark Vicente, who was one of the NXIVM, a documentary filmmaker who worked for NXIVM, spent several years filming Colonia LeBaron and and what it was like to live among the cartels. So that's a whole other thread worthy of a book in itself, probably.
How did NXIVM, or how did Colonia LeBaron even come across Keith Raniere's radar? How did he even
NXIVM, if you've covered it, was very active in Mexico, and in fact had more members in Mexico than it had in the United States. And its members in Mexico were very wealthy, politically connected. Two or three members of NXIVM in Mexico were sons and daughters of former Mexican presidents. So NXIVM had a huge presence in Mexico, and they saw the Colonia LeBaron as NXIVM was, Raniere thought that he could teach Colonia LeBaron how to win over the cartel's affection, I guess, by appealing to their better natures was kind of Keith Raniere's whole shtick.
Wow.
But it had violent repercussions, obviously.
So really, he just stirred up the drink and made it worse rather than better.
Right.
Yikes. Well, Sally, I want to thank you for being on today. Again, folks, we're just kind of teasing things a little bit here, and we want to encourage you to go out and get the colony, Faith and Blood in a Promised Land. Sally Denton is our guest and the author of this book. We want you to, we encourage you to go out and get the book. We've got a link in the description of this program to go and get it. What's interesting is not only is there a hardcover and a paperback version, I believe there's also a Kindle version. I picked up a Kindle version this weekend. to.
Yeah, there's not a paperback. There's a hardcover. It just came out last week or June 28th. So there's a hardcover, there's a Kindle, and there's an audiobook.
That's what it was. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and all of it, you can go to my website, www.sallydenton.com, and all of my books are there, including and this one, and you can see how some of the others kind of were there to build up to this one, my book, American Massacre and the Bluegrass Conspiracy. So it's a fascinating and tragic tale, that's for sure.
Okay. And we'll have that link to sallydenton.com as well up for you, so you can go and check that out and check out Sally's other books as well. So yeah, get it on Kindle, get it an audiobook, get it on hardcover. But please check out The Colony, Faith and Blood in a Promised Land. Our guest, Sally Denton. Sally, thank you so much for joining us today on True Crime Tuesday.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
All right. Thank you. Folks, it's time now to bring in Beer City Bruiser, and it's time for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals.
It's Crayon News story time.
What happened with this dude, Christ Bearer? I heard he cut his penis off and then jumped off a balcony.
Suspect pulls gun from butt, shoots twice at Denver police.
What is your emergency?
I need help.
And what's the problem?
I'm too high.
You're too high?
Yeah.
It's that time once again, kids. It's time for Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals. We bring in the BCB, the Big Cuddly Bear, the Beer City Bruiser. Hey, Bruiser.
Hey, Tim. How are you doing?
That almost sounds like a flirtation. Hey, Bruiser.
Well, I look forward to these, not only because I get to talk with my good friend Tim, but we get to see all the idiots in the world, and they make us laugh, and they make us feel good about ourselves because we're not the idiots in the world.
That's true. We're going to start off a little more serious, though, because there were a couple of stories that were a little alarming, actually, over the last week. And then we're going to get a little sexy at the end. Yeah.
Some NSFW, huh?
Yeah, some NSFW at the end, because by gosh, that's the way we like it. Okay, so I know you heard about this. A NASCAR driver was stabbed to death at a gas station.
I did hear about this because obviously living in North Carolina, anything NASCAR is pretty much holy here.
Yeah. 37-year-old Bobby East was killed in Westminster, California. 37-year-old NASCAR driver was stabbed to death at a gas station in California last week. Police killed his alleged assailant 2 days later, according to Fox News. Police in Westminster say Bobby East, who competed in the United States Auto Club division, was attacked at a gas station last Wednesday, after he stopped to fill up. Police identified 27-year-old Trent William Millsap. No relation to Ronnie, I hear.
None, huh?
None, no. I don't know. A transient. He evidently was a transient as the suspect, and say he fled the scene. Officers shot and killed Millsap on Friday after they say he became confrontational when they arrived at an Anaheim apartment to arrest him. Millsap was on parole for armed robbery. East was a renowned driver in his division, having won 56 career races in USAC, which called him one of the most prolific drivers in his era. He was a 3-time USAC national champion driver. He also had 11 career starts in what is known now as NASCAR's Xfinity Series, and logged 2 top 10 finishes in Truck Series races. He was one heck of a wheelman, tweeted 2-time NASCAR champ Todd Bodine. East's father, Bob East, is a Hall of Fame USAC car builder. Just tragic. I mean, the amount of violence going on these days, it doesn't matter how that violence happens, is just staggering. And the fact that, I mean, the guy was just getting gas.
I was going to say, he started his day, figured, hey, I have to stop and get some gas, and then I'm going to continue my day, and that's where his life ended.
That's right.
That's sad.
That's right. I was telling you off air that we got an email from a potential business partner who used our term nightmare fuel. Right? I have for you, my friend, in this second story, the epitome of nightmare fuel.
Some more nightmare fuel, huh?
Yeah. This is neither a dumb crime or a stupid criminal. Well, it's a stupid criminal.
Well, yeah.
But this is pure nightmare fuel. I want you to imagine now, somebody, okay, you and Mrs. Bruiser get home. You go to unlock the door, right? And let's say Ziggy Starpup may or may not be inside. Bruiser may or may not be inside. But you go to open the door and somebody's on the other end holding your door closed.
Yeah, that would freak me out.
Wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Your brand new home there in the brand new state that you're in.
Yeah.
You know for a fact none of the kids are there.
No, they're all grown and outside of the house, and they'd let me know if they're coming. Plus, they didn't have keys to get in the house.
Exactly. But somebody's on the other side holding your door shut, telling you you don't belong there.
I do belong there. It's my name on the deed. Let me in.
Listen,
that is nightmare fuel.
Listen to this, and here's the one sentence that'll give you shivers down your spine, my friend. Are you ready?
Yes.
He wanted to play doctor on us.
Oh, gosh. Oh, that's terrifying.
Isn't it, though?
Yeah.
A terrifying stranger secretly lived in this couple's home.
Oh, see, I've heard there's that old wives' tale, that urban legend of people living in your attic or people living in your basement, you not knowing about it. This is proving it can happen.
It was the bike sitting outside that tipped off Brittany and James Campbell that something was amiss. The couple and their 2 young sons had been away from their Honolulu home for about a week. They returned home on September 20th of 2019 to find something terrible. James went to open his home's front door, but found he couldn't. A stranger was inside, pulling it closed.
Oh, geez, that's terrifying.
Yeah. There was a man peeking through the door. He's trying to hold it shut, and the man says, "This is not your house," just very calmly. James, yeah.
How could you be calm saying that?
Yeah, this is not your house, and just holding the door.
Yeah.
The 36-year-old James, who is in the U.S. Navy, recalls in the new Lifetime true crime show, Frogging, Hider in My House. This is a real show that has just been put on Lifetime.
Really?
Yeah, so there's other incidents of it, and they're going to put it on TV.
Yeah. See, one of the scariest movies in cinematic history and it's my opinion is scary, is because it could actually happen, is the movie The Strangers.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if you've seen it.
Yep.
But there's that scene where she goes, "Why are you doing this to us?" And he just simply responds with, "'Cause you are home."
Yeah.
That's what this makes me think of. Like, I'm getting goosebumps because this is terrifying, because this could actually happen. And if you said they're making a show about it, that means it has happened.
That's right. The show actually premiered yesterday. It examines a crime known as frogging, Phrogging, if you want to go ahead and Google it, in which a stranger sneaks into someone's space and secretly lives there for days, weeks, or even months. Oh, we have to get a producer on from this show.
Definitely.
Just to talk to him. The first half of the series premiere focuses on the Campbells' harrowing ordeal. They're lucky to be alive, frankly. Jessica Everlith, the show's executive producer, told the New York Post. James grabbed a sledgehammer for protection and managed to get the man out of the house while Brittany called 911. Once the intruder was in the front yard, James says, "We noticed he's wearing my clothes."
Oh, no.
Things are getting crazier by the moment.
Oh, gosh.
He's wearing his clothes, Bruiser.
I've got to check I was in my attic this weekend because that's where we kept the paint so I can paint that wall.
Yep.
And I looked around and didn't see anything, but now you're making me want to go up there almost every single night.
I'd go up there with a pitchfork and just start hitting random spots in the attic just to see if anything goes, ouch.
I'm just going to let Ziggy Starpup loose up there.
There you go. That's a good way of doing it, too. The police arrived and arrested the man, a 23-year-old named Ezekiel Zayas. But after he was hauled away, the nightmare was just beginning.
What do you mean just beginning? That's not nightmare enough?
The inside of their home was in utter chaos. Pots and pans were piled up on top of each other. In the living room, James' musical equipment had all been taken out. Their bedroom was in complete disarray. It was just trash, 37-year-old Brittany, and a stay-at-home mom told the Post. So she was around this guy all the time.
With children.
Yeah.
That's the other part that's scary. Like, my kids are all out of the house.
Yeah.
If I had an infant there, oh my goodness.
Right. What they found next was much more upsetting.
Oh, come on. There's more.
There's more,
The story
Bruiser.
just keeps giving us more and more nightmare fuel.
That's right. Someone had used one of their old laptops to record disturbing diary entries and details about the family.
Oh, jeez.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
There were all these typed notes called The Omnivore Trials, a Rehabilitation for Rat-Like People, James says on the show.
Rat-like people.
Yep, here we go. You ready? This is when we realized this person had been in our home a lot longer, Brittany told the Post. Brittany noticed knives that had been laid out next to the computer, and she found a typed manifesto, this is in quotes, about gruesome plans for the Campbells, including surgeries such as sexual reconstruction and a hand transplant.
Oh, I love how this guy has no medical. That's his mental health to you. You know what I mean? He's
Yes.
mentally unstable.
Yep.
If he thinks, oh, I'm just going to transplant his hand with her hand.
Yep. He wanted to play doctor on us, and not in the cute little kid way, Brittany said. He wrote about how he could make us into perfect people.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. She also found a video that the intruder had made on her computer, apparently while in the nude. This guy had been sitting naked in my chair. That's disgusting, she says on the series. I just felt terror. Suddenly, the family regarded strange occurrences in the home in recent months. A computer's webcam turning on in the middle of the night, doors that were left open or unlocked, the dog barking with fresh horror. Such is often the case with frogging victims. You start going over and over again, the different things that were weird, and suddenly they have an explanation.
Well, thank God they didn't call a paranormal team and investigate.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be creepy. Can you imagine looking through your night vision camera and then turning the corner and there's a guy standing there?
Oh, my God.
Like full-figured human?
Nude, playing with knives?
Exactly.
Yep.
Hey, you want to play doctor? Not in the good way.
Oh. It starts out slowly. Things go missing, said Everlith, adding that people are more apt to believe they are living with a ghost than a long-term trespasser. There you go.
No, that brings a whole new meaning when you're looking for your socks. Oh, I thought I left my socks here.
Yep.
And they're gone.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
That's scary.
Yep. You think it's an urban myth, but it's more common than you think. The term frogging, which is said to originate from frogs leaping from place to place and is pronounced frogging, has only been coined in recent years, but the crime itself has been occurring for decades. A&E's True Crime blog notes a 1986 case in which 17-year-old Daniel LaPlante found a hiding spot in the home of Tina Bowen, a teen with whom he was obsessed. LaPlante taunted the family by doing things such as drinking leftover milk, which escalated to taking Tina and other members of her family hostage, according to the blog. Tina eventually escaped and called for help. Sometimes a frogger has parasitic attachment to the homeowner or the home itself. It's terrifying, Everlith said. Unlike squatters who took for empty abandoned spots, froggers aren't deterred by occupants. It takes until the moment the owner or renter sees something, such as a hand or footprint, comes face to face with the intruder, or catches them on some sort of surveillance camera to figure out what is going on. It is still unclear how Zayas got into the Campbell's two-story house or how long he lurked there, but the journal mentioned very personal details about them, such as the fact that Brittany was undergoing fertility treatments, which the couple hadn't shared with anyone. The strangest thing that he knew was medical information about us, she told the Post. It's really bizarre. After his arrest, Zayas was charged with burglary and released. Shortly afterwards, he was arrested again, this time for allegedly vandalizing a Buddhist temple. In 2020, while in a correctional facility for that crime, Zayas allegedly killed a fellow inmate, 62-year-old Vance J. Grace.
This guy needs help.
Yeah, he does.
He needs help.
He was charged with murder in the first and second degrees in the fall of 2020 and pleaded not guilty. The man was found unfit to proceed and is currently at the Hawaii State Hospital, according to court records awaiting trial. The Campbells, meanwhile, are still recovering from the strange, harrowing ordeal and have since moved out of their Honolulu house and away from Hawaii. This is an incident that has really affected us psychologically as a family, It's uprooted our entire lives, Brittany says. Recovering from this has really been difficult. Now, again, this is only between you and I, Bruiser, not for the audience. I know they're going to be like, what? But I'm actually going to post a link to this article so you can read it online. Here's a picture of the guy who was stalking around their house.
Oh.
That's him with no clothes on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's him just naked.
Just naked in front of the camera talking nonsense.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
That show is going to do really well because people love to be creeped out.
Yeah.
And this is one of the creepiest things because it's literally in your safe spot. You know what I mean?
Yep. The one place that you can actually relax, unwind, be yourself.
Yep.
Let your freaky hair down. And this guy is the biggest freak of them all.
And I think it's great. She's like, oh, I don't know how we're going to recover from this. Well, yeah, like that's torture.
Well, think of the therapy. I mean, even if you put yourself in therapy for it, that's
because you think at night when you lock your doors before you go to bed that you're safe.
Yeah.
This just proves you're not.
Nope. You never are. I mean, when I go to bed at night, some people would say, well, that's kind of OCD-ish, isn't it? But I triple check my locks and all my traps around the house.
I do too.
Because I never am sure that the house is fully secure.
Yep. But my wife will yell at me because she'll lock the door and whatever, and I'll see her do it. But then before bed, I'll check it. She's like, I locked it. It's just my own peace of mind is what I tell her.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly it. And there's times where you want to make sure all the doors are shut, everything's locked, everything's the way it should be, because you just never know. Today, in today's day and times, you just never know.
No, you don't. I close all my blinds when we go to bed. That way so no one can look in and see we're sleeping or anything like that. That's, in my head, that's just what I'm thinking. Like, if I was going to break into a house, what would I look for?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And I know that, we may be speaking right down somebody's alley right now who's listening. Other people may be like, that's a little much. But seriously, I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that are listening right now that are going, yep, because they know exactly too. You just can't be too careful.
I've always been a protector. Just because with the kids and stuff, it's like, what do I have to do to keep them safe? I don't care what happens to me. It's them. I got to keep them safe. And now it's just my wife and I. It's like, well, A, I don't want anyone stealing her stuff. It took us a long time to amass this stuff.
Yep.
And B, like, this is my castle, my kingdom. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to protect it.
And most burglars that are interviewed by, whether it be media, whether it be whoever's interviewing them, even if you talk to somebody who's been arrested for burglary, for home burglary, they'll tell you it's real easy. I just went up and tried the door and it was open. So I went in. Yeah. Or it's real easy. I just went up, tried the window, and guess what? The window was open. So I went in.
Yeah. You hear about all those Night Stalker stuff or the serial killer stuff, and they'll say literally they just found an open window.
Yep. And they went in.
Yep.
That's it. And so you think to yourself, well, I don't know how this happened to me. I don't know. It literally was just the fact that you forgot something.
Yeah. Well, you weren't chosen. I mean, that I shouldn't say it because there's sometimes when, you get the stalkers and they choose you and stuff. But 9 times out of 10, it's convenience that you left something open.
Yep. And they just decided, well, it's open. I'm going in.
I wonder why the guy chose that day to make himself known if he had been there for so long. You know what I mean?
That's a good question. You know what it might have been? He was going through the house and he was doing his thing and they just happened to come home early. Or when he wasn't expecting
they surprised him. He couldn't get all his stuff back to get back up. I gotcha. Yeah.
Yep. So it was just fate. Just fate.
Yeah. Thank God.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Speaking of just happen to leave stuff out and not be aware, not be ready to defend themselves, the FBI keeps losing stuff, Bruiser. Evidently, the most secure police department in the world is losing desktop computers.
We don't want them losing stuff. They're supposed to protect us.
Well, it turns out they've lost over 200 computers and other items such as night vision scopes. This is just last year, by the way. This hasn't been over time.
night vision scopes? Like, hey, I misplaced a night vision scope. Oh, just chalk it up as another one missing.
Yep. They lost night vision scopes as well. This is last year. According to internal records obtained by Motherboard, the FBI lost over 200 desktop computers, multiple pieces of body armor, in case you need one, Bruiser.
I can just go to the FBI and get one, huh? That's what it sounds like.
Just walk in and get one. And night vision scopes over a 6-month period last year. This is getting worse. This is like that Darth Vader thing where he goes, "Pray I don't alter it further." The time frame just keeps shrinking here. This is according to agency records obtained by Motherboard. The lost computers potentially present a cybersecurity risk if the machines and their contents were not properly secured, although they represent only a small snapshot in time. The lost stolen property records also provide a glimpse into the sort of waste that happens inside federal law enforcement agencies. Motherboard obtained the spreadsheets through the Freedom of Information Act requests. Those things are so handy, I tell you.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
And Vice obtained similar records for the DHS. If you're ready for this, the FBI records stretch from July through December of 2021. The columns include item description, the location the item came from, such as Washington, D.C. or Quantico, Virginia, and the suspected status of the item, such as whether it was lost, stolen, missing, or damaged, or destroyed. I want to make sure that's clear. The over 200 figure was sourced from counting items marked in the FBI document as computer, desktop. The 18-page spreadsheet, by the way.
Wow.
Also includes computer, portable, presumably referring to laptops, and computer, portable, tablet. So there's tablets involved too. There's also multiple listings for lost or stolen phones, so you can lose your phone in there as well. The DHS document covers incidents from the 1st of October 2021 through the 30th of March 2022. This is the Department of Homeland Security, by the way, if you don't know what DHS is. The number of lost, stolen, or damaged computers seems much lower, with only 25 desktop computer events recorded. 115 laptop computers were recorded by the Department of Homeland Security. But the document does not break down whether these were lost, stolen, or damaged. The FBI spreadsheet includes a column for providing the root cause of the lost, stolen, damaged, or destroyed item. These are inadequate security, inattention to details, gross negligence, willful intent, other, and unknown.
So basically they had a big giant meeting and the head of the FBI goes, "All right, agents, please remember, sign out your laptops, sign out your tablets. If you need body armor, sign it out."
That's right.
No more taking your phones into the bathroom. We've had to lose this many from dropping in the toilet.
That's about it.
Sign out your equipment.
Every single item in the list, including the lost desktop computers, but also stolen body armor and other items, is marked as being lost for an unknown reason, raising questions about the effectiveness of the FBI record-keeping practices. The columns that mark the status of action taken, which include an investigation, and the correction measures taken to prevent repetition, are also marked as unknown. So there you go. That pretty much tells you.
Scolding on there. We scolded our agents.
It was a harsh talking to, not necessarily scolding, but a harsh talking to. So that tells you exactly how sharp they are over there, either in Quantico or Washington.
Yeah, they're just losing desktops left and right.
But somewhere there's FBI agents with a lot of technology at home.
Yeah. Or there's some kid who's like just building up the ultimate Call of Duty like franchise. So he's got all these desktops and laptops.
Yeah, there's some kid at home going, "Wow, I got a really fast computer at home." Not only that, but I can tell you about the last 40 years of serial killers.
Who needs nuclear codes? You need nuclear codes? Nuclear codes. Who needs nuclear codes?
Who needs them? Who needs them? Anybody? Bueller? Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Speaking of federal government and how many times you can get away with stuff, a rapper that President Trump spared faces new charges. So evidently he's thinking he's in with the government and just can get away with stuff whenever he wants.
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, man, I did this before. My boy Trump got me off. Do it again. Not knowing that Trump's not in office.
Maybe Biden will get him off this time. Maybe he's got a...
Biden's more of a country fan than a hip-hop rap fan.
You think so?
I think so.
I don't know. Kodak Black, whose prison sentence was commuted, arrested on drug trafficking and possession counts. Evidently, he thinks he has a hotline to the White House.
Kodak, just a big Kodak Black fan or something? Like,
don't you remember when he went through and he pardoned like?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah. But like Kodak Black doesn't follow that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see Kodak Black and Trump in the same circles.
Well, he got a list of people from Kim Kardashian. Remember that?
Oh, you're right. Then that makes sense. Yeah, you're right. I remember she went and visited the White House and gave him a list of people. So now I get it.
Yeah. So Kodak Black was on that list. Yeah. I don't somehow see Donald Trump as being a big Kodak Black fan.
You don't see him bumping those? Like he's got his headphones on. He's just...
I don't see a lot of rap fans being Kodak Black fans.
I've never heard of him, and I think I'm pretty up in the now with what's going on because of my kids and stuff like that. I'll have to message them. Do you guys know Kodak Black?
He was big like 3-4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Kodak Black, rapper whose prison sentence was commuted by former President Donald Trump, has been arrested in Florida on drug possession and trafficking charges. The Highway Patrol said the artist, whose legal name is Bill Capri, so he can't be Kid Capri because they already had one of those decades ago, was pulled over last Friday in Fort Lauderdale on suspicion of having windows tinted darker than the law allows. Troopers say they searched his car after smelling marijuana. There's a shock. Rappers smoking marijuana and finding almost $75,000 in cash and a bag with 31 white tablets that they said turned out to be oxycodone.
Oh, of course.
Well, you got to balance your high.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
You know, $75,000 cash. Like, come on. That's chump change.
He's a rapper. He's supposed to be carrying,
Yeah, didn't Floyd Money Mayweather walk around with $1 million cash all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, this guy's got nothing.
That's the thing. $75K is nothing for a rapper.
Yeah, exactly.
He's small fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Court documents show Capri was charged with trafficking in oxycodone. He had 31 pills. It's a month. It's not even a month's supply. That's 2 weeks if you're a chronic pain patient.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And if you're really hurting, it's like a week's worth. Yeah. That's not.
But I don't think he's supplying it to chronic pain patients.
No, he's not.
I don't think he's going to be Dr. Kodak Black there, Tim.
Kodak, not Kodiak. Kodak.
Yeah, Kodak. I'm sorry, Kodak. I'm thinking of the cool stuff.
It's not.
Why would you take your name after a camera, not a bear? Like the bear is much more intimidating. Like Kodak Black. Like, ooh, Kodak Black just makes me think you couldn't afford colored film.
Well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe he's like, take a picture, it'll last longer. Kodak Black. I have no idea.
Your face when you did that, I wish the listeners could have seen it. That was like priceless.
Yeah, I know. I'm more of a visual comedian. I don't know. Court documents show Capri was charged with trafficking in oxycodone, a prescription opioid painkiller, and possession of a controlled substance without a prescription. Oh, he didn't have a script for it.
That's what it was. He was driving out with a script.
Yeah. Never judge a case based on an arrest, said Bradford Cohen, a lawyer who's got to be working pro bono for Capri. There are facts and circumstances that give rise to a defense, especially in this case, Cohen said. Bond was set at $75,000 in a hearing that expected Capri to be released later Saturday. I don't know if he got free or not. I didn't check.
Well, if he made bond, he did.
Yeah. The rapper told the judge he has a concert scheduled for Sunday night. That's how you know he's not a big deal.
Sorry, Judge. I'd like to come in, but I got to be out by Sunday.
Yeah, I got to be out by Sunday. I got a concert after prayer services. Yeah.
Yeah, because the judge is going to listen to him say that, and then the next guy come up and go, hey, I got like a really big house that I'm selling on Sunday. Can I go free?
Yeah. And
a kid going, hey, I got a geometry test coming up. It's summertime. I still got to take geometry. Can I be free?
Yeah, exactly. He has past assault, weapon, and drug convictions, like all good rappers do. Capri was almost halfway through a 4-year sentence in January of 2021 when President Trump commuted his sentence on his last day in office. The White House announcement described Capri as a prominent artist and community leader. I don't know what community, but he was leading some community somewhere.
The oxycodone community.
Well, yes, it's evidently one that needs oxycodone very, very badly. Yeah, that's for sure. Trying to figure out which way I want to go here on stories. You know what? I'm going to go to this one. This one, we're going to go from Kodak Black reoffending to Skittles and how they're offensive. And this is a lawsuit this is a dumb crime, stupid lawsuit story.
Someone's suing Skittles? Come on.
They're suing because they say Skittles are unfit for human consumption. My thing is, just don't eat them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't like them, don't eat them.
Right. Don't eat the Skittles if you don't like them.
Well, I'm human. I consume them, so therefore they're human consumption. Okay.
But here, well, and it gets the Bruiser seal of approval, so go ahead and eat them. The complaint cites the use of chemical titanium dioxide to provide the candy's vibrant colors. So taste the rainbow, get killed by the rainbow, evidently, is the new slogan you'll see on commercials soon. Skittles famously wants fans to taste the rainbow, but a new lawsuit says the chemical used to create that rainbow is a toxic health threat. The suit was filed in Oakland last week, and it calls Skittles unfit for human consumption because maker Mars Incorporated continues to use titanium dioxide to produce the candy's vibrant colors. Nonsense, replies Mars. While we do not comment on pending litigation, our use of titanium dioxide complies with FDA regulations, the company said in a statement. The FDA does indeed allow the chemical to be used for coloring, providing it does not exceed 1% of the food's weight. How much do you think a Skittle weighs?
Not that much. Because they had this back in the day with the M&Ms, remember? With the red M&Ms causing cancer?
Yeah,
because that's how this whole law got passed.
Yeah, red and blue, right.
Well, now, doesn't Mars still make M&Ms?
Yes, they do.
So why are they going after Skittles? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they probably use the same ingredients to coat both candies.
True. The lawsuit filed by consumer Janelle Thomas, who has too much time on her hands, is seeking,
way too much,
is seeking class action status, alleging that those who eat Skittles are at heightened risk of a host of health effects for which they were unaware, stemming from genotoxicity, the ability of a chemical substance to change DNA. Oh, we're all going to become reptiles.
Yeah.
This will be fun.
I hope this just turns out to be a mother trying to teach a lesson to her kid. If you eat those, they're going to kill you. Mom, no, they're not. Hold on. She files this lawsuit.
I'm filing a lawsuit and you'll find out. The filing notes that Mars promised to phase out the use of titanium dioxide in 2016, but has failed to do so. Interesting. Okay. Thomas also alleges that Mars deliberately makes it difficult to read the ingredients on the package. Oh, so you got to have triple bifocals in order to read.
She's just getting older and doesn't want to put on her bifocals is what it is.
Insider notes that Insider is the publication, notes that titanium dioxide is used in everything from paints to plastics to roofing materials to sunscreens. However, its application in food products has increasingly been called into question, particularly overseas. France, for example, already has outlawed its use in food, and a similar ban goes into effect throughout the EU or the European Union next month. The lawsuit asks that all U.S. consumers of Skittles be covered, though it says the number is too big to estimate. Do you eat Skittles?
I do. In fact, I had Skittles last week. So
did you?
Yeah, I enjoy Skittles. I mean, I'm not. It's a treat for me. It's not an everyday thing.
Yep.
But every once in a while, I want to taste the rainbow, and I'll go get some Skittles.
And you do that, huh? Okay.
And I'm alive.
Well, yeah, you are. I mean, the last time I checked, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I think that's just the mother trying to teach her son a lesson, and it's just gone too far because the kid kept calling her bullshit. So she's like, you know what? I'm just going to file a lawsuit.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Got some interesting murder and near murder stories for you here before we my gosh. This one, okay, and then I do have a stupidity story that comes right here from my backyard. And this one is we're going to hit this one first before we go into the murder stories. Actually, this does involve a crash here in Anoka County, Minnesota. By the way, this is closed circuit to intern Yoko. The dumbest drivers in Minnesota are located in Anoka County. I'm about to prove it to you right now. By far. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
And if people are like, I don't know where Anoka County, Minnesota is, just look it up. Just Google it.
Right in the middle.
And I'm about to besmirch my old county of Anoka County, where I went to high school. And just tell you, they're getting right off the tractor, right into the car. That's exactly how it works. And they drive like they're driving their tractors.
Okay.
Yeah. And they act like they're driving a tractor because they do other things while they're driving. Putting
on their makeup.
Yeah.
Eating a sandwich.
Yep.
I saw someone eating a salad the other day while driving.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I used to travel with a guy for wrestling that would eat soup while he was driving. How do you soup and salad you don't eat while you're driving?
No. An entire plate of spaghetti.
Yes. No, you don't eat that.
No, you don't do that at all. Excuse me here. I'm just going to, this is something that nobody should ever see either. It's just you. And I'm not doing that to you, Bruiser. It's become an incredibly painful situation. Nobody will know what the hell that was. No. Okay. So
it's between you and me.
Thank you. Thank you. The old host of this show would have pointed that out. So here's the deal with Anoka County, Minnesota. We're going to Anoka County, ladies and gentlemen. Anoka County, Minnesota, where they drive like farmers.
Yeah.
Okay. Just if you ever doubt me, go up Highway 65.
Well, I've been to Anoka County. You forget. I used to go up there all the time.
Yes.
The only reason that Minnesota never really made me upset driving-wise is because I'd always have to do a Minnesota-Illinois loop, and Illinois drivers are the worst in the nation.
Oh, dude, I don't know. No, not Anoka County are the worst.
They're slow, and they're not paying attention. But
right.
Chicago drivers, they don't care. They give no Fs.
Let me read this story, and you'll soon find out why I say this. A driver watching Stranger Things before she got into a crash. This is a teenager, so not even starting. I mean, as a teenager, Bruiser, you're scared shitless when you get out on the road. 10 and 2, and you're shaking, and you're, oh my God, I got to look at everything, and I got to make sure that I got to make sure I'm driving properly. And oh my God, if I crash the car, Mom and Dad are going to kill me, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Follow the speed limit. Go under the speed limit, all that, yeah.
Not this shitbird.
No, they decided to put on Netflix and watch Stranger Things.
You know why? Because Netflix was free for 12 months on my phone.
Oh, God.
A teenage driver was watching Stranger Things on her phone when her car drifted into the oncoming lane and collided with a semi-truck.
That's what happens when you watch Stranger Things.
This according to
while driving.
Yep, according to the Anoka County Sheriff, who reported that the teen escaped with minor injuries in the rollover crash. You're goddamn lucky.
Yeah, that could have ended so much better, crashing with a truck and rolling over. I hope her phone was damaged. That's what I hope.
I hope so, too. I hope it was destroyed. And that the parents
and that her
don't
parents
get another
do
one.
not replace it
Yep.
to teach her a lesson.
Yep. Investigators say the teen was driving over the weekend in a Minneapolis suburb. That's being generous. When her vehicle crossed the center line directly in the path of the semi-truck, witnesses told cops that the female's vehicle was fully in the oncoming lane before the crash.
Jeez.
Not even just a little bit. Just fully in the oncoming lane.
Which, that blows my mind because, well, no, because I guess you can see it, but still, like, don't text and drive. Don't watch movies and drive. Just focus on driving.
The semi-driver swerved to the road's shoulder, avoiding a head-on collision with the Stranger Things fan. And likely,
so he saved her life is what he did.
Yeah, and likely saving the driver's life. That was according to the Anoka County Sheriff.
Because truck versus semi versus car never ends well for the car.
Right. Everybody say hi to Ziggy, by the way.
Yep,
Okay.
Ziggy's
Starfield.
She's having a blast.
Yep, she's doing her thing. By the way, go to Beer City Bruiser's social media, folks. There's the cutest picture of Ziggy and Bruiser taking a nap in a recliner.
Yeah, my wife took that.
That's the cutest picture ever, by the way. Just a little bit of a break from the story for a second. Now, here we go. Shake our fists in righteous indignation.
But don't look it up while you're driving. There, I can incorporate that. Don't go look up pictures of me and my puppy while you're driving.
While you're driving.
Right.
By God, because I'll come out and kick your ass if you do that.
And Ziggy's so precious, she will distract you and you will get into an accident.
You will. The teenager's car hit the semi's trailer and rolled over. While her vehicle suffered significant damage, she only received minor injuries. During police questioning, the driver initially denied being on her phone at the time of the crash. How are you going to bullshit? Even the Anoka County sheriff. How are you going to bullshit the sheriff and say,
you know how they caught her? They picked up her phone and says, "Are you still watching Stranger Things?"
Yeah, exactly. You didn't pause this, dipshit. Do you want me to pause it for you so you don't lose your spot? However, after deputies noted that the auto's Bluetooth system was streaming the audio to Stranger Things on Netflix, genius.
I would have been the cop that would have ruined the ending for her.
Yeah. The teenager admitted to watching Netflix while driving after she was caught with the audio on Bluetooth. The teenager was citing for watching a video on her phone while driving. What a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Again, only in Anoka County.
Yeah.
Yeah. The worst drivers in the U.S., bar none. By the way, all my Anoka County peeps can email me, tim@darknessradio.com. Try to prove me wrong. You won't. You just won't. Another cell phone idiot, as long as we're talking about cell phone idiots, let's line them up and shoot them down one at a time, Bruiser. An American tourist with his cell phone decided to take a selfie, and it fell into Mount Vesuvius.
The phone or him?
The phone.
Okay.
But then he fell in trying to get his phone.
Trying to get his phone back, yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a strange fact of how many people die taking selfies a year. It's a high number. Yeah. It's a high percentage.
Yeah, yeah. Guides have sailed down to rescue him because why let him die, I guess. I don't know. Almost 2,000 years after Mount Vesuvius destroyed Pompeii and other Roman cities, an American tourist decided he wanted to be, another one, and came close to becoming another volcano victim. Authorities say the 23-year-old man, who had been unable to book tickets online, took an unauthorized route to the edge of the volcano's crater and fell in after taking a selfie with 3 family members.
Gee, I wonder why it's an unauthorized area.
Il Gazzettino Vesuviano, try saying that 10 times fast, reported that the man's phone reportedly fell out of his hand and he lost his balance and fell at least 10 feet into the crater while trying to retrieve his phone.
Now, Vesuvius isn't still active, right? Because it erupted and all that?
Oh, let's find out together.
Yes, please, because I'm curious, how close was he to the lava?
Authorities say guides have sailed into the crater to rescue the man in an operation that also involved police and an Alpine rescue helicopter. The man wasn't seriously injured, but he was treated for cuts and bruises on his back. The man escaped the wrath of the violated volcano, which, by the way, is an Italian romance novel.
It is.
Yeah.
Or I was going to say an Italian death metal band.
Yes. Per Il Gazzettino. But he will be charged for invasion of public land, as will his relatives and another group caught using the unauthorized route.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, get them all then.
Which is marked by signs warning that it is extremely dangerous. Vesuvius is still considered an active volcano, even though it hasn't erupted since 1944.
Okay.
So it is still active, Bruiser.
So everyone, when you see those signs saying, don't go this way, this could happen, that's not a suggestion.
That's right. That will happen. It's a command. It's a command.
And no picture's worth your life.
No, not at all. Let's see here. Okay, we're almost to the time of Bow Chicka Wow Wow, but not quite. We got a couple of killer animal stories for you.
Oh, I love killer animal stories because usually the people that have the animals are idiots.
One is imaginary, one is true.
So one's like Puff the Magic Dragon.
Which would you like first? The real one or
the imaginary? I gotta hear. No, you know what? Let's go with the real one, and then we can make fun of the imaginary one.
All right. Who says that golf isn't a dangerous game?
No, it can be. It can be.
A woman is killed by alligators in a golf course pond.
It makes sense.
The gators. Oh, I'm sorry.
She wanted to play through. She didn't want to play where it lied. And her husband's like, you got to play that where it lies. But it's an alligator mouth. Play it where it lies.
I'll take a drop every time. I'll take that stroke every time. Instead of having a stroke while I'm being eaten by gators.
Yeah.
The gators grabbed an 80-year-old woman, authorities say. An 80-year-old woman died Friday night after falling into a pond at a Florida golf course and being attacked by 2 alligators. The woman struggled to stay afloat after falling into the body of water at the Boca Royale Golf and Country Club in Sarasota County. I don't think I'd ever play golf in Florida.
I wouldn't.
Worst idea ever.
Yeah, that's Florida and Australia are 2 places I'd never play golf because there's things there that can kill you.
Yep.
That love to hang out on a golf course.
Yep.
In point in fact, this lady just decided to. No, I'm sorry, I'm mean, but I picture her bending over to tie her shoe, falling and tumbling in.
Well, that's exactly, you remember the kids at Disney who, they get near the water and the alligators just come up and it's a free meal?
Yeah.
It's that scenario.
Yeah.
The elderly and the kids. Just, it's a free meal for a gator. So they were falling into the body of water at the Boca Royale Golf and Country Club in Sarasota County, authorities say. And then the alligators ultimately grabbed her while in the water. She was pronounced dead on the scene. 2 alligators, one 8 feet 10 inches long.
That's a big one.
And one 7 feet 7 inches long, were later removed from the area by alligator trappers, but the Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission says it's not yet known whether they were the animals involved in the incident. So they just took random gators away and said, close enough.
Those 2 did it. Get rid of them.
They were profiled alligators.
Excuse me, sir. Can you describe the alligator that killed your wife? Yes, it looked like her purse.
It was the one from Happy Gilmore. He had the one-eyed one. One eye missing.
He had the one-eyed one.
And he had a hand in his mouth. So the Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission says it's not yet known whether they were the animals involved in the incident. Alligators, more than 1 million of which live in Florida, are more active when temperatures go up. Well, of course they are. They're cold-blooded animals.
Yeah.
This is at least the 3rd death linked to alligators in the U.S. so far this year. In May, a man was looking for Frisbees in a Florida lake. Worst idea ever.
Anywhere there's a body of water and you can't see the ground, the bottom of the body of water, don't just go wading around in it.
Yeah. When he was attacked by gators, and last month an alligator killed a person in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Ooh, that's close to me.
Yeah, see? Just 9 alligator bites, none fatal, were recorded in Florida last year. The woman's death is being investigated and her cause of death has not yet been determined. I'd say gator bite.
I like that the Florida wildlife game, their theory is, we got them? Question mark?
I think. We just pulled 2 gators and put them out in the wild somewhere else. Mission
These 2 gators look full. Let's just get rid of them.
Yeah. They're kind of lazy and smiling. We think we got them.
This one's got gas, so was your wife gassy?
Was she on like Beano or anything? I mean, we think we got them. I mean,
Meanwhile, there's another gator floating up with a pearl necklace going, yes, take them away.
My plan is complete. I
framed all the retirees.
I framed all the gators in my path. Okay, here's the imaginary animal murder story. You ready for this? This one will actually be on tomorrow's news. We're going to double up on this one.
Oh, this is going to be a really good one.
So nice. I'm going to air this one twice. An Oklahoma man allegedly killed his friend while fishing because he thought the victim would feed him to Bigfoot. You can't make it up.
So it's like you and I going fishing,
Yep.
and we're just talking about Bigfoot, and for some reason you think I'm going to feed you, so you shoot me in the head and push me in the water.
Yeah, like you said to me, hey, Tim, I think I've had a full life. You know what? Just chop me up, feed me to Bigfoot. Let Mrs. Bruiser know that you let me go to a good cause.
Yeah.
And I'm dumb enough to go, you know what, Bruiser? I think I'd do that favor for you.
I gotcha.
Yep. The two Oklahoma men were noodling or fishing with their bare hands when the murder took place. And my God, an Oklahoma man allegedly killed his friend over the weekend because he thought that the victim had summoned Bigfoot to kill him while they were
Wait,
fishing.
You can summon Bigfoot? This guy should tell this to all the TV shows out there looking for Bigfoot right now.
I didn't know there was a Bigfoot signal, like there's a bat signal, but evidently he took his flashlight and made puppet shadows in front of it.
And nobody's thought anything bad would happen with the governor of Oklahoma making Bigfoot licenses.
Nope, not at all. According to the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, local media reports. So they're the ones who said, hey, you know what? This guy said he tried to summon Bigfoot to kill him while they were fishing. The genius is 53-year-old Larry Doyle Sanders, who was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. He had gone noodling or fishing with bare hands on Saturday at the South Canadian River with his friend Jimmy Knighton. I believe it's Knighton. Yep, it is. Jimmy Knight. A confrontation ensued, and Sanders told authorities he struck and strangled Knighton, whose body was found the next day in the river, according to the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation. Boy, this guy does not look very intelligent at all. I mean, it's not that intelligence is based on looks, but he just has that look like he's not all there.
See, we're making fun of this guy, but just wait till the murder trial when there's a twist, when the defense calls Bigfoot to the stand. And Bigfoot comes in and goes, he called me on my cellular telephone. I was coming to eat him, and then I saw him floating face up and thought, you know what, I got to get out of here.
The bailiff
I'm not a part of this.
Bailiff comes up and says, we call a Mr. B Foot to the stand, Mr. B Foot.
He gets up and goes, it's Stanley. You can call me Stanley.
Stanley. Yeah, so I get a call to show up. Evidently, guy's got a body for me to eat. I don't know. So I show up.
And there was a body, but it was waterlogged, and I'm trying to lose some weight.
Yeah, and I don't like them damp like that. Some people like their Italian beef sandwiches. They like them dry. I like them dry.
Yeah.
I don't like them soaked. So I just moved on. Plus, there's cops everywhere. He talks like Jerry Seinfeld. Oh my God, I show up for a body and it's just soaked. Who likes a soaked body?
There's cops everywhere.
I like my bodies dry. A special agent for the state law enforcement agency. No, I want to read it like this. A special agent for the state law enforcement agency.
The FBI was called in.
Oh my God, here's the thing, listen. A special agent for the state law enforcement agencies wrote that Sanders told him he discovered at the river that Knighton intended to feed him to Sasquatch or Bigfoot, according to an affidavit obtained by the Oklahoman. Oh, this
dude,
it
was called a joke. Can't take a joke. Who can't take a joke? That guy.
Larry advised he believed Jimmy was trying to get away from him so that the Sasquatch could eat Larry. The agent reportedly wrote in the report. So he wrote this without laughing.
Yep.
Right? Straight face all the way through.
I was ready to eat him, but he just wouldn't leave him alone. I have to have him left alone. Can't have people watch me eat other people.
So the cop shows up and goes, so let me get this straight. Larry wouldn't let Jimmy get away. Larry punched Jimmy. No, I'm done with the bad Seinfeld impression. Larry would not let Jimmy get away. Larry punched Jimmy and struck Jimmy with a stick. Larry and Jimmy fought for an extended amount of time on the ground. That's what it says in the report.
So a cop had to write this down.
Yeah, Larry and Jimmy. Not by their last names. Larry and Jimmy.
Like the whole town knows. Oh, yeah. Larry and Jimmy. They go noodling all the time. And in fact, Larry's a big Bigfoot hunter.
Larry and Jimmy, they's fighting. And Larry says, I was going to get Bigfoot after you. I think it's Larry that would get. Larry, okay, let me get this straight.
Okay, well, Larry killed Jimmy, right? That's where we're at?
Larry would not let Jimmy get away. Larry punched Jimmy, struck Jimmy with a stick. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Larry and Jimmy fought for an extended amount of time on the ground. That's when Bigfoot came up and said, "Hey, quit playing with my dinner."
Wait, which one of you is I supposed to eat?
Yeah, wait a minute. Do I get the loser or the winner in this one? Because I like my meat a little tenderized. So whichever one of you is beating the most, that's the one I'm taking. Because I can kill either one of you. I don't care which one. Sanders remains in the Potomac. Or no, it's the Pontotoc.
I was going to say, he remains in the Potomac River. Like, whoa, Tim.
Yeah.
Whoa.
No, this was the South Canadian River. There, not the, yeah. So there you go. We're killing guys over imaginary.
Because he somehow found a way to summon Bigfoot.
Yes.
I just picture Bigfoot showing up, hands on hips, going, "You summoned me?"
Who was the? You remember on the Super Friends when in the later years when it was getting really bad, they had the one indigenous superhero who used to go Monochuck, and he used to. And
he'd grow really huge, and that was his superpower. Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't he able to call Bigfoot too?
Yeah, he was able to talk to animals.
I think so. Yeah.
Land animals, not like Aquaman. Mm-hmm. I just remember because he was a useless character.
Yeah.
Like, the only time they ever really used him was when a cat was stuck in a tree.
Yeah, exactly. They were like, "Don't get him out of the tree." He's like, "God damn it, Chuck!" That's all you ever used me for.
Like, wait, you can shrink down too, right? Nope, just big. Not like the atom.
Nope, just get shit out of trees. That's all I do.
And frisbees off the roof of the Hall of Justice.
That's right. No frisbees in the water. I don't want to get bit by a gator. That's it. That's all I do. All right, Bruiser. You a big fan of gas station snacks, chips, little things you get off the rack? You know.
Of course I am.
You're traveling.
I live on the road.
Yeah, when you're traveling on the road, the underwater needlepoint, you grab little. I have a little warning for you. You might want to, when you're picking up the snacks, just don't throw them in your arms and go pay for them.
Okay.
Pick them up, look at them, see if they glisten. If they glisten, put them back.
Well, of course, I don't want glistening food. What's it glistening with?
If they glisten, start to listen, put them back.
Okay.
All right. Remember that little tip, my friend, because there's a man at a Detroit gas station who ended up peeing on some snacks after his credit card got declined. That's true. A man redefined urinal cake when he peed on a rack of snacks at a Detroit gas station over a declined credit card. And there's video.
Oh, of course. There's always video.
Yeah. Cops in Detroit posted video on social media of the suspect relieving himself on a snack rack at a gas station.
If I can't have the snack cake, no one can have the snack cake.
It's mine. I marked it.
I'm coming back for that.
He did it over the weekend after a credit card was declined. The shocked clerk then started filming the ensuing mayhem as the man literally took aim after he left the Amoco. Yikes. The censored clip. Where are we as a society where you go, well, my credit card was declined. Here, if I can't eat that delicious cupcake, nobody can.
Hey, when you got to go, you got to go. He did ask for the restroom key, but somebody was already in there.
I guess. The censored clip shows the suspect standing by the door while urinating on the snacks as two other friends cheer him on and smile for the recording clerk.
Of course, you have to have your drunk friends cheering you on.
What the hell are they cheering? 2, 4, 6, 8. Let's begin to urinate. Pissy. Yeah, you're pissy.
Don't shake it more than twice or you're playing with it.
We got to do the Macarena, the urinating man said at one point.
Spell your name. Spell your name.
He referred to the 1993 smash hit song as he...
Push them back.
He's peeing on snack cakes saying, we're going to do the Macarena.
That's what he was saying?
That's what he said. We're going to do the Macarena as he's peeing on the snack cakes.
He doesn't know the Macarena because I don't remember that part of the Macarena.
No. He'd start singing. He should start singing it and doing that. But if he starts doing the arm motions, then he starts whizzing all over the place and he loses control.
So the next wedding I go to, when they play the Macarena, I can just pee on people and be like,
Yes.
no, I saw this on TV.
Then
once.
you just whip out Little Bruiser and let him do his thing.
Go.
Just go.
Get two of my drunk friends to cheer me on.
Yep, exactly. Hey, Macarena. All right. The suspect then asks the clerk if the gas station was part of a Detroit program called Project Greenlight, in which cops monitored cameras at city businesses because he didn't want to get arrested for what he was doing.
Well, of course. I like how we waited till after he was done peeing before he asked. Like, oh, by the way, you don't talk to the cops, do you?
Detroit police later confirmed that it was offering a $750 reward for information leading to the urinating man and his two accomplices. The man, who relieved himself, then grabbed a handful of snacks because, if you piss on it, you bought it.
It's yours.
Yep. Including some he soaked with his own urine.
Of course.
Before walking,
put it back in his body. It's wrapped.
I guess. Before walking out of the gas station, he mooned the clerk while getting into a car.
That's just like a big middle finger right there. Like, hey, I got away with it. Now here's my ass.
I guess. A tipster who saw the disgusting footage reached out to cops and identified the men.
It's my dad. What's my dad doing?
That's just my baby mama. They did identify the man, police told the Post on Wednesday, the New York Post. A detective has spoken with the three suspects, and they're in the process of making arrangements to turn themselves into authorities. So let me get this straight. They get the guy on the phone. They say, hey, I saw you on a video. Guess what you were doing? You were peeing on delicious snack cakes, then you mooned the clerk. It's like that Dave Chappelle bit.
Yes.
Do you think we could arrange to get you down here so we could make arrangements to maybe arrest you? And he's like, I believe sometime between 2 and 4 on Wednesday would work. What do you think about that? And they go, oh, that'd be swell.
Do you think that's how they're handling it? Or they handle it like our cops that busted all the meth people by saying, come in to get your meth tested. They call this guy up and go, hey, you want a sweepstakes for all these nice, tasty cakes? Come to this address and pick them up.
Well, they might do that too.
See?
Yeah.
Guy's like, hey, I urinated on those. I can get those.
I urinated on those.
I wonder what they taste like without my piss.
Oh, that's a good question. The tipster will receive the $750 reward, Harper said. He declined to say what charges the suspects will face, saying the final determination will be up to prosecutors. Regular customers at the gas station, meanwhile, said they couldn't believe what they saw. Oh, my.
Did he? What?
Did he really do that? Oh my goodness, that is so ignorant, one man told WJBK. Crazy, ignorant, stupid. Y'all should be very ashamed of yourselves. I wouldn't even come outside and show my face. Another customer said he'd be sure to avoid buying any snacks at the Amoco for some time. Now I can't buy chips for 2 weeks, he quipped. Why? What is the 2 week?
What is the 2 week period? Is that the turnaround?
Why the 2 week embargo is my question. By the way, Bruiser, I want to bless you with a little something here. Here is the picture of the man dancing. And
of course, he's got a Newport hanging from his mouth.
Yes, he does. He's got a
Rick James. Looks like Rick James.
It is Rick James. He's like, I'm Rick James, bitch. And let me bless you with my wiener.
We're going to Macarena this.
Yeah, a little Macarena there. He's like, let me bless you with some urine on your snack cakes.
What do you mean I don't have money in my my account? Why is my card declined? It's not my fault. I put money in there.
There's plenty where that came from, darkness. And then he just pisses on the snack cakes. So, all right, kids.
He has a really pissy demeanor, doesn't he?
He does have a pissy demeanor. If that wasn't enough for you, and by gosh, that should have been, while the kids were in the room, it's time now for earmuffs. Earmuffs on the little ones, because we're about to get into some sexy time. When I say sexy time, if you don't do the sexy time, you can't do the sexy crime or something like that. I don't remember how that goes.
It's do the sexy crime, do the sexy time.
That's right. We're going to start in a most unusual way, and this is how it's going to end up. You do the sexy crime, you're going to find out exactly how you do the sexy time.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to start with 2 stories of sexy crimes or not so sexy crimes. All right. And then we're going to start with how you're going to do the sexy time. And it's not so sexy how you do the sexy time.
Okay.
We're going to start in New York City, where a New York subway pervert has made his living by pushing his face into a woman's butt. Not exactly. You know, if I'm going to get my kicks.
Yeah, I don't. That's the last place I want to stick my face when she farts.
Yeah. Well, some guys, you know, they call it tossing the salad in jail.
Well, yeah, I see that, but if he's on the subway, she's clothed.
But here's the thing, Bruiser, and I don't think a lot of people realize this. You can spread COVID by spreading the cheeks.
Well, I know that because it was found in fecal matter.
Yeah, and that's how most municipalities now are measuring COVID levels.
So this guy was just like, hey, I'm going to test this COVID theory right now.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to see if you have COVID. Just call me the New York City COVID tester. Let me launch my face betwixt your buttocks. And let's see if you have it.
Pretty much, he's just sitting on a bench or on the subway thing while everything's going. A lady comes, stands up. He just grabs, spreads, and
yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's exactly how it works.
My dog taught me this.
My dog taught me this.
I don't know you.
A creep stuck.
Can you imagine if we introduced each other like dogs do? Like we sniff each other's butts. Oh, hey, Tim, how's it going? Nice to see you, Tim.
That would be mighty uncomfortable.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Instead of handshakes, we're just sniffing each other's asses.
Yeah, that would be odd. A creep stuck his face into a woman's backside as she climbed subway steps in Brooklyn. Of course, it's in Brooklyn. Cops said the 40-year-old victim was exiting the J Street Metrotech station at the corner of J and Willoughby Streets about 10:15 p.m. when the suspect approached her from behind. Well, he didn't approach her front.
Yeah.
And
if he's hitting her butt from the front, then she needs to go to the gym.
Yeah. That's true. As he approached her from behind last month and forcefully placed his face in her buttocks. How do you deal with that situation at that point? Do you go, whoa?
Hey, now.
I mean, do you turn around and slap him? Do you...
I'd fart. Well, I'd have one in the chamber.
That's one way of doing it. I want
to know what his form was. Like, they're going upstairs. Did he just dive? Like, you know what I mean? Or did he grab her hips and pull? Or like...
Oh, that's a good question.
You know?
Yeah.
Because she's walking upstairs, so she's already going away from him.
Right. So you got to get a good grip.
Yeah, he's got to do like a defensive back with the angles and stuff. And yeah.
That's a very good questions, my friend. The TikTok victim did not turn the other cheek. She wheeled around and clocked the perv with her purse. Good job, lady. Good job.
There you go.
The coward retreated and fled out the subway system. Police said the woman was not injured. Oh, you could pull a hammy on that deal. I'm just saying. Yeah.
This guy probably thought, hey, I'm gonna pick up my future wife this way. I'm gonna stick my face in there.
Can you imagine that at a dinner party? Let me tell you how I met your father. I was leaving the subway and he launched full frontal into my backside. It was love at first fart. The NYPD on Saturday released surveillance video and a photo of the suspect, an adult male, approximately 6'2", weighing between 210 and 250, large build, brown eyes, short dark hair in a ponytail. To be honest with you, looking at him, it kind of looks like the son of O.J. Simpson.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just saying it's kind of what.
There's a conspiracy theory out about him.
About O.J. Simpson?
His son.
Oh, about his son?
Yep, that his son committed the murders. Really? And O.J. was just covering for him.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
For all the conspiracy theorists out there, that's it. And this one actually got a lot of facts behind it. So I'm not going to bore everybody right now, but yeah, go online, look up O.J. Simpson kid conspiracy theory, and it'll come up with how he could have killed both, and O.J. was just standing up for his son.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
This man that we're talking about, the butt stuffer, if you will, was last seen.
Let's call him the butt rocket because we just picture him rocketing into her buttocks.
Okay, the butt rocket was last seen wearing a black baseball cap, black Nike T-shirt, black shorts, and gray Nike shoes. You may say, why black? Well, it's easier to wash brown stains out of. Yeah, just saying. Anyone with information in regards to this incident is asked to call the NYPD Crime Stoppers hotline.
If anybody else has had their butt sniffed by somebody. At
1-800-577-TIPS. It's TIPS with a P, 8477. So there you go. Let's go to the next story. In our sexy crime, sexy time.
I don't know. We got pretty sexy with butt stuff. So what do we got next?
You know, Bruiser, it's just too bad. You know, they made a whole series called Sex and the City that was based on New York.
Yes.
Turns out the public shagging is going extinct in NYC.
What?
Yeah, the thrill is gone, man. That's the way B.B. King used to sing it. Thrill is gone. Thrill is gone away.
So no more just taking your lady and taking her in an alley and taking your lady.
Let's have some class here. A little shag in Central Park.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cops
citywide issued just 2 public lewdness summonses to people knocking boots in public parks in 2020. That's it. According to the most recent NYPD stats, the number is a far cry from the shocking 432 tickets that police wrote for the body offense in 2007, and even 7 years later when 115 people were caught canoodling al fresco. There's your new name for it.
It wasn't all 117 at the same time, right?
No, it wasn't a parade.
It wasn't a giant orgy in Central Park.
No. It was individual instances of it. By 2018, the number of folks cited for hooking up in a park, a summons that carries a $150 fine.
That's it?
So it's cheaper than dinner in a movie.
And it's cheaper than a hotel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And only issued if a cop witnesses the act. Tumbled to 8. Only 8 in 2018.
Okay.
People are getting more shy in their old age.
Or they're getting more clever in how they hide it.
Yeah, that's true. None were issued in 2019. The NYPD is yet to release numbers for 2021 or this year. Experts said there are several reasons for the precipitous drop. And those who have done the dirty deed in public told the Post it's simply better to avoid parks and get it on instead in nightclubs, bathrooms, and even cultural institutions. Take her to a museum and rock that old ass. You know what I'm saying?
Look at this Statue of David. Why don't we go into this bathroom right over here?
And as I say that, the next line is this. My then boyfriend and I had sex in an art museum exhibit. Because it was really dark and quiet, and we thought it would be funny, said 30-year-old Victoria Sloan, a whore from Brooklyn. No, I'm kidding. It doesn't say that. I just threw that in there. Adding the sex left a lot to be desired, is what she said.
Adding sex it left, so it didn't fulfill her, is what you're saying?
No, the next line is, it wasn't good sex because it was rushed. We didn't get caught then somehow, but I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I did it, rather. I'm sorry. I had to freshen up the line somehow.
I feel so bad for their boyfriend because she's literally calling him out in a national article.
Yeah.
So someone is going to read that and go, I know her. Wait a minute.
I could have nailed her in a museum.
Or she's with Tom. Oh, next time we go out for drinks, I got something to bring up with Tom.
Or maybe she didn't nail Tom. Wait a minute. Tom said he couldn't get anywhere with her.
Hey, Speedy, what's up?
I hear you're easy. No, I'm kidding. Others said that they definitely would take another stab. In other words, at doing it in public. I hooked up with a spontaneous random person. It was appealing because I ran away afterwards and didn't have to pay for the karaoke room or see that person again.
That's called rape. That's rape.
I think so. Said a Manhattan resident in the publishing industry. Oh, wow. And they're even anonymous at that. Who said the primary...
because they just admitted to raping a stranger and then running away afterwards.
Who said the primary draw of her 3-year-old encounter was the anonymity. No number was exchanged and there was no chance of running into them again. I do it again, not with the same person, she went on to say.
Well, of course, because then you raping the same person twice.
I guess. And like anything like anything else in the Big Apple, it's all about location, location, location. There's a beautiful single occupancy bathroom, and we went in there to pee, I guess together, and realized it was a good place to do it. Also, we were both girls, so it probably didn't look suspicious that we entered and exited at the same time. Oh my God, that's kind of a sexy time, isn't it?
Yeah. How does that come? What do women talk about when they're peeing if that's what comes up?
I don't think they went in there just to pee. I think they went in there just to hook up.
Oh, see, in my head, I thought they both had to pee.
No,
they're both there.
No, one
thing leads to another.
They're saying it was a beautiful single occupancy bathroom. Oh, it did say when we went in there to pee and realized it was a good place to do it. So they
were peeing and then thought, hey,
they cleared the chamber and then they thought, hey, you know what? Let's get it on.
Let's do this, and then I'm just leaving. You'll never see me again.
That's an odd way to get turned on.
Yep. Thank you, New York.
Thank you, New York. New Yorkers are dirty. Also, we were both okay. So they said we're both girls, so it probably didn't look suspicious that we entered and exited at the same time. This is a 30-year-old Reddit user, an Upper West Side resident who took her chances in the Museum of Natural History right before the pandemic in 2019. Michael Alcazar, an adjunct professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice and former NYPD detective and vice cop, said the risk of encountering police or unsavory characters on the streets are why al fresco lovers are thinking twice. There's a justifiable fear of being caught in a compromising position given the rising tide of street crimes occurring in New York City. There's just a climate of unsafety throughout the 5 boroughs, even for the most sexually daring. Meanwhile, a study by Rutgers University in 2021 found that millennials and Gen Z have less casual sex on average than the previous generations, opting instead to play video games and scroll on their phones.
Nerds.
I know. They also drink less booze.
Nerds.
The study found. Nerds.
Why'd everything go down? Everyone's nerds. That's why.
That's right. Go get drunk and do it in a park, you nerd. Although if you go to Thailand, you decide you want to get it on in a public place, and you get
Nothing
caught.
Good about Thailand.
No, don't say that. There's Bangkok.
No, I mean, like, if you get caught doing something illegal in Thailand, nothing good happens. 'Cause that's where that guy was caned all those years ago.
That's right, Singapore canes. You know a little bit about those, don't you?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, there's that old song, Bangkok, Oriental City, where the city don't know what the city is. I don't know. But it's about chess. Chess is not what happens when you become a sex offender in Thailand.
I'm assuming they remove something.
Oh, you're close.
I'm going to say, like, when you get to those third world countries, they remove stuff when you break the law.
So let's say you find yourself a lady or somebody pretending to be a lady and you're having a little tryst in a park.
Okay.
And you get caught. And now
we're not nerds.
What's that?
Because we're not nerds.
Because we're not nerds. And we've had a few Thai punches.
Yes.
Right? Well, Thailand is set to allow sex offenders to be chemically castrated now. You have a choice, Bruiser. You can either get the sword or you can get it chemically castrated.
Either way, it's getting castrated.
Yeah. Thailand is set to join a small group of countries practicing chemical castration, a controversial procedure aimed at reducing reoffending rates. Some sex offenders in Thailand will soon be able to opt for chemical castration in exchange for shortened prison terms. So you get out quicker.
Yeah.
If you take the chemical
Not all of you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the healing time's different.
I guess so. In a controversial move that will see the Southeast Asian nation join a small number of countries around the world in allowing that practice. According to a bill approved by the Thai Senate last Monday, repeat sex offenders will be able to choose to receive injections that would temporarily reduce their testosterone level and sex drive with the hope that the procedure will stop them from committing further sex crimes. The bill, which passed in the lower house in March, is awaiting reaffirmation from the lower house and will officially become law when it's published in the Royal Gazette. The timeline for the bill's passage isn't known, but authorities say they are hoping for a swift process as a way to lower rates of sex crimes. Justice Minister Samsak Thepsuthan, easy for me to say, says, "I want this law to pass quickly. I don't want to see news about bad things happening to women again." According to the Thai bill, anti-libidinal medication will only be prescribed with the consent of the sex offender and after it had been approved by 2 experts, a psychiatric specialist and an internal medicine specialist. Offenders will have to wear electronic bracelets and be monitored for 10 years. Chemical castration is used in a select group of countries, including Poland, South Korea, Russia, Australia, the UK, and some U.S. states actually use it.
I know, I've heard of U.S. states using it.
Yep.
So you get a choice. You get the choppy or the injecty.
Injecty. They use it as a way to prevent sex offenders from falling back into committing sex crimes. However, the practice remains highly controversial, with many arguing that it's a violation of an offender's human rights when made mandatory, and that it does not actually tackle the root cause of sexual violence. Last year, Indonesia passed a law mandating child sex offenders to undergo chemical castration for a maximum period of 2 years. The law first proposed in 2016 after the horrific rape and murder of a 14-year-old girl, which sparked outrage across the country, was delayed because the country's medical authorities argued they were not able to ethically carry out mandatory castrations. So there you go.
You choppy or injecty.
That's it, and that is how we end this week of Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals.
We're just burning that off right there. Huh?
We're gonna burn it off right at the end there, Bruiser. We're gonna chop it off at the end and cut it short, so to speak. That's how we end Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. Tomorrow on the program, of course, it's Darkness Radio and it's Supernatural News, so we'll have a little bit of the strange and unusual. We may even have a parashare, which isn't necessarily sharing the supernatural and strange that happened to a person. It may be a debate about AI in zombies and whether AI is controlling us or we're controlling AI.
Yeah.
And it's coming from a listener who I think has listened to our AI debate a little too much and is now confused about whether we've built AI or AI has built us. It's an intriguing debate that I want to bring up tomorrow on tomorrow's show.
I like debating. This will be fun.
Yeah, it's a kind of a crazy jump down that rabbit hole. Bruiser, tell me, my friend, about what you got going on here in the next few weeks.
I am training at the AML Training Center every Wednesday from 6 to 9 p.m. I'm also in Rockingham, North Carolina on the 30th, and Winston-Salem with the Control Your Narrative versus AML. So Braun Strowman will be there, EC3, myself. And that's July 31st.
That sounds
And then my
exciting.
birthday. My birthday is on July 21st, this Thursday. So
Really? Well,
Yes,
happy early birthday, my friend.
thank you.
Yeah, that Control Your Narrative is kind of exciting. I know they're coming here to Minneapolis in a few months. So.
Yeah, it's unique. Like it's a interesting twist on underwater needlepoint. Like they have rules that you have to follow, and some of the rules I agree with, some of the rules I don't agree with. But it'll be interesting to see. And I haven't seen EC3 since Ring of Honor closed, so it'll be good to see him. And
yeah, most definitely.
He was a good brother in the locker room. So
yep, absolutely.
And if anybody has any new fitness or nutrition, he's the guy to talk to.
Really?
I don't think he has a percentage of body fat on him.
No, he's sculpted.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
As opposed to me, who's only sculpted in my pinky right there. Do you see the definition of my pinky? That is one sculpted pinky right there.
Look at that.
Yeah, I'm going to flex it right now.
Look at the veins popping.
Yeah, see that? So we will see you tomorrow for Supernatural News, folks. For Beer City Bruiser, I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for tuning in to True Crime Tuesday. Again, check out Sally Denton's book, The Colony. We have a link for it in the description of this program. We also have a link to Sally's website as well, so you can check out her other novels. We want to thank Sally for being on the first part of this program. And we've got some exciting stuff coming up yet this week for Darkness Radio. And we want to thank everybody for tuning in and being a part of this whole thing we call True Crime Tuesday and Darkness Radio. We appreciate you downloading the shows and listening to the shows. I want to also remind you guys, don't sit on these shows. I know you like to binge these shows and you like to kind of say, hey, you know what, I'm going to listen to them all at one time, maybe at work, or maybe I'll save them for the weekend. Listen to them right now when you get them. I know you may think, oh, well, why right now? The fact of the matter is that these shows are important for our advertisers. And they make a dent in our advertisers, and they help draw other advertisers to our show. So these numbers are important for us as well. So the one favor we may ask of you is, you know what? Don't hold on to them for weeks and weeks at a time and say, oh, I'm just going to catch up to them in a couple of weeks. We want you to listen to them right now. Listen to them as you get them, because we are putting out 3 shows a week. We prefer that you listen to them either in the week that you get them or the next week that you get them. We don't want you to sit on them for too long, okay? Do that for your buddy Tim and for your buddy Bruiser, all right? All right, we'll see you tomorrow for Darkness Radio. Thank you so much for tuning in. This has been another edition of True Crime Tuesday.